y'all. So we're going to be doing another cookie jar crime case. This will be case number 4. And we're going to be talking about Cleo Smith, little 4-year-old girl that went missing. So Ellie Smith and her partner Jake Glidden, they bought a tent and they planned a weekend trip to a campsite with Ellie's 4-year-old daughter Cleo, and then Jake and Ellie had a 7-month-old daughter Isla. And so they were planning a trip. They had taken Cleo on other camping trips, but this was going to be baby Isla's first camping trip. They went to the blowholes at Point, I do not know how to say this, it is Quobba.
Point Quobba.
Where Jake and Ellie both had visited many times during their childhood. And so they had planned on enjoying their time fishing. They were going to play on the beach. They were going to teach Cleo how to fish and how to ride her bike without training wheels. Something I found interesting as I was looking at the Instagrams of the parents was Jake. He was an avid fisherman. His Instagram is full of pics of some pretty impressive catches. Some sharks, tuna, mackerel, and a lot of other sea life. And I looked it up. Fishing for sharks is legal, but there are some that are endangered, so I guess you would kind of have to know which ones to release back. It's a pretty intense hobby, nonetheless, but I found it interesting. Ellie worked at a beauty salon in Carnarvon. I know I'm not saying that right, y'all. Jake worked for Rio Tinto. It was a mining company. One of his neighbors works with him at the mining company, and he said that Jake was a great guy. And then their next door neighbor, Gwen Cinch, she said they were lovely people and that she witnessed them, being wonderful parents to their children. Cleo attends St. Mary's Star of the Sea Catholic School. So on Friday evening, October the 15th at 6:30 p.m., the family arrived at the campgrounds. Ellie said they set up the tent and they set up a gazebo, and after they had supper and then she fed baby Isla, Ellie put Cleo and Isla to bed. It was around 8 p.m. Cleo awoke at 1:30 a.m. and she was thirsty. She wanted a drink of water. And then she went back to bed, and Ellie checked on Isla before returning to her and Jake's section of the tent. The tent had 2 entrances/exits, so 2 openings to the outside, and then in the middle there was a divider between the 2 sections. And so Ellie and Isla are on one section, and Jake and Ellie were on the other section. Ellie was awakened at 6 a.m. by hungry baby Isla, which is very typical for a 7-month-old baby. But when Ellie unzipped the girl's side of the tent, she immediately noticed that Cleo and her sleeping bag were missing. The tent flap leading to the outside was open, but the zipper was at too high of a position for Cleo to have unzipped it. Ellie and Jake looked all around the tent. They realized they were going to need police help to locate Cleo. Around 6:23, Ellie called 000, which is the emergency number in Australia, while continuing to search for her daughter. The police arrived at 7:10 a.m., and then they secured the site by 7:26 a.m. Around 11 a.m., homicide detectives had been sent to the area, and police were already searching cars in and out of the campsite. They thoroughly searched the campgrounds by land, sea, and air. Later, mounted police from Perth searched the harder-to-reach dunes. The Army assisted with a drone that uses a thermal camera to search day and night. And then there were some shacks around, but the police were not able to search those right away because they were bolted shut with padlocks. But on October the 18th, police began to search the shacks around the campsite. After painstakingly searching the campsite, the police stated they were treating this case as an abduction. Cleo, if she had wandered off, they feel she would have been found by that point. So they really felt like someone had taken her from the tent. They continued to search the scene, but they began mainly looking for clues and evidence. The police took DNA swabs from everyone they could who was at the campsite on Friday night and Saturday morning. They got people's names and addresses, and they checked vehicles. They received info from a number of campers about certain noises and activities. There was a roadblock set up, but the police said that it could have been possible for people to have left the campsite before that block was set up. On Monday, November the 1st, Western Australia police searched through more than 50 cubic meters of rubbish from roadside bins as far north as Minalea to as far south as Geraldton. The rubbish was packed into 2 trucks and they transported it to Perth, where 4 forensic officers and 20 recruits spent 2 days sorting through hundreds of bags in an effort to find any items that might assist in the investigation. One item that they were looking for was Cleo's red and gray sleeping bag. The police have checked Cleo's home numerous times looking for signs of a stalker. They found nothing that would suggest that Cleo was specifically being watched by someone. So they determined that someone must have taken her, and it would have had to have been between the hours of 1:30 a.m. and 6 a.m. on Saturday, October the 16th. There are 10 to 20 registered sex offenders who've been in the Carnarvon area. The police have spoken with each one of them, and they stated there is nothing suspicious about Jake and Ellie. They felt very confident about that. And the account of what happened that evening that Jake and Ellie told checked out. Cleo was confirmed to have been at the campgrounds because of some motion-activated CCTV that caught her voice that Friday evening. The police spoke with Cleo's biological father, Daniel Staines, as well. He lived on Perth, over 600 miles south of where Cleo was last seen. He was never in Cleo's life, and he's not a suspect. Ellie Smith said that Cleo wouldn't even leave her side when they were shopping. Cleo would have gotten her mom if she needed to use the bathroom because she would have needed Ellie's assistance with her pajamas because they were zip up. Ellie said whenever in the interview that she would have come across to get her like she did for the water. They probably left that middle section, that divider, in a way that Cleo could reach the zipper so that she could get to Jake and Ellie. At this point in the investigation, there were really only persons of interest, but there weren't any confirmed suspects. And like I say, they really just did not feel the parents were. They kept saying that the parents are not being looked at.
They say the girls' parents are not suspects in the disappearance.
Yes, they were looking at the house. They were looking for signs of someone stalking Cleo.
Police have returned to the family home of missing 4-year-old Cleo Smith 12 days after she vanished. Investigators spent hours at the house.
Forensic police spent 7 hours searching the home of Cleo Smith, working into the night, focusing on the backyard. Just hours after her parents denied having anything to do with her disappearance.
Is there anything that you're not telling us?
No, nothing. No way. We love our daughter.
So, I had been working on this case, and I had planned on filming it yesterday, actually. Today is Thursday. Tuesday night, as I was finishing my research, I saw the news. Cleo was found safe and alive Tuesday morning. Whenever the campers that were on the campground heard some noise and activity going on, and another couple saw a car around 3:30 a.m. come out of the campgrounds. And so that car was being looked at. They were basically asking, whoever owns this car, just come forward. If you're not guilty, just come forward. If they were guilty, they're not going to come forward. So this car, this suspicious car that they were searching for, along with phone data in the missing case of Cleo Smith, led a team of officers to a home where the little girl was found. Police Commissioner Chris Dawson said he couldn't provide detailed information at this stage, but said the vehicle gave him the biggest lead as to where Cleo could have been. She was found in a room of a locked house. The officers raided the house around 12:46 a.m. and found Cleo.
Nine's Joshua Dorr is in Carnarvon outside the family home. Josh, they're whole again tonight.
Those are the words of Ellie Smith, Pete. A statement that is still quite impossible to believe, really, but it is fact after a remarkable day here in Carnarvon. This was the moment that detectives brought out Cleo Smith after finding her in that home. She looks scared and shaken, but is safe and healthy, and even, I think, lets out a little bit of a smile, and that is certainly a message that was reflected later on in hospital. That bright, beaming smile spenned out to right across the world as she held onto an ice stick and
they asked her name a couple of times, and she told them her name was Cleo.
I got her. I've got her. Hey, Bobby.
Bring the camera in.
Hey, Bobby, come here. Come here. I've got you, Bobby.
What's your name?
You're alright.
What's your name? What's your name, sweetheart?
My name is Cleo.
Your name
You're
is
alright,
Cleo.
Bobby.
Hello, Cleo.
They gathered her into their arms, and they called her mom and said, "Someone wants to speak with you." She was taken to her family, and get this, her family was literally 7 minutes away. Then they took her to the hospital to check her out. But I can't imagine the relief her mom must be feeling, and Jake. So the man who resided in the home, he was 36-year-old Terrence Kelly. He was taken to the hospital in police custody, and now he's being questioned. Can you imagine the nerve of someone entering a family's tent while they're sleeping and taking their little girl? It makes me angry.
Alright, so this case just kept getting stranger and stranger. So Terrence Kelly collected Bratz dolls. He had a whole room full of them, a bedroom in his home, and he had some other like Disney princess dolls. He really was into Frozen dolls, and I think most of them were still in the boxes. And so yeah, Cleo was found in a room. I'm not sure if it was that room, but she was found in a room with the light on, and she was playing with toys. In a couple different places I saw where she was actually crying when they found her. And also he had many fake profiles for himself on Facebook. We just need to be very careful on Facebook, y'all, or any of the social medias. We need to watch our children and even ourselves and what we post and who we allow to be our friends, because he actually befriended Cleo's mom with one of his profiles. He had profiles as a girl that was his daughter. He had profile for like his wife. He had like fake families. He just had numerous of them, and a lot of them had the Bratz dolls, like pictures with them. One of his accounts was actually a picture of him, and then he had another one for himself that was a picture of a man with like, I don't know what I can actually say. I saw in the comments this mom was like, "Hey, this picture is my daughter. We need to report this to the police." So she was just letting people know who are commenting on it, "Hey, this is my daughter." The mom she's actually starred in a TV show. I don't know the name of it. I didn't dig that far. But just beautiful people. And he was stalking these people, and it's just really creepy. Another place I saw that he may have been selling drugs. That could have been possibly why he was at the blowholes that weekend, was selling drugs. I don't know that he just happened to be there selling drugs and then took Cleo, or if he had planned to do that all along. One other thing that I saw that was quite strange was there was a little boy named William Tyrell. He was a foster child, and he was playing at the home of his foster grandmother with I'm not sure if it was his sister. I don't know, like, the connection. If it was his blood sister and they were both foster kids, I don't know all of that. I just know that there was a little boy missing, a 3-year-old boy that was missing 7 years ago. His name was William Tyrell, and he was taken from the yard of his foster grandmother. And the strange thing is, Terrence Kelly posted that, they come home and all of that, which I find quite odd. I don't think that he took that little boy, because I looked into it, and there's another guy that is in jail. He's already in prison, and he more than likely is guilty of that. But we don't know 100% for sure. But I still wonder if there hasn't been another abduction that maybe Terrence Kelly isn't guilty of. I don't know. He's 36, so I don't know if this would be his first time to do this or not. But anyway, and I don't even know what his plans were with Cleo. God did keep him from harming her to the point of killing her. I just found that interesting that he had commented on that particular missing case.
When I started working on this case, I had a really sick feeling because I was worried that it wouldn't end well, or that it would be like John Bonet or
Madeline McCann,
and we would never have an answer. Praise the Lord for this miracle, because that's exactly what it is. God still does miracles. One thing I pray that all of us have learned from this case is to stop being so hasty to judge family members of missing people. Believe me or not, but when I looked at Ellie's Instagram before Cleo was found, I felt in my heart Ellie couldn't have had anything to do with the disappearance of Cleo. The way she looked at Cleo and cherished her, there was sincerity in it. There were people looking at this poor mom and saying she was shaking her head. Personally, I know through grief I've gone through, I do that. I do that when I'm talking about it because I don't want to believe it. So I believe that Ellie was doing that because she couldn't bear the thought or even accept what might have happened to her daughter. I read comments and they were horrible. I couldn't believe the heartless and sensitive things people were saying directly to Ellie and Jake on their Instagrams. Not only were Ellie and Jake having to worry about what's going on with Cleo, what's happening, where is she, is she hungry, is she thirsty, is she cold, is she scared, is she crying, and wanting to be there for her. But then they're also having to deal with people that are being so cruel and accusing them. When I was looking at Jake's Instagram, on one of the comments, someone put I won't even say what they said. But, it wasn't like curse words, it was just the content of what they were accusing him and saying to him. It was just cruel. But on the other side, there were kind people taking up for them, saying, hey, we need to give these people a break. They're grieving, they're worried, lay off, let's see what happens. Let the police do their work. Quit being armchair detectives and trying to, let's just look at the facts and stop putting our opinions in there because we don't know. I would rather have too much mercy and find out someone is guilty than judge an innocent, hurting parent unfairly. All right, so that is Cleo Smith, and this story, I love this happy ending. I wish that every story and every case, I'm looking at a couple more, and as I'm looking at these cases, I try to remember to say a prayer as I'm looking into them, and praying that they will be solved, praying that they'll be solved in a happy way, but if not, at least solved, at least give these people that are hurting answers. And so I've got a couple more coming up, and I wish I could give you happy answers on those. One of them we know the answer to, and then the other one I'm working on is kind of like this one, but we don't have the answers yet. So it's a pretty recent one, and I'm wishing and praying that it'll end up like this. But so often they don't. But if we continue to work and to keep our eyes open and to give police clues and to just be watchful and get the information out there, because if someone wasn't aware that Cleo was missing, they wouldn't have given the right piece of information to the policemen so they could do their job. Alright, so I hope that y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see you on my next case. Bye-bye.